Okay, so today we're doing A Day No Pigs Will Die, chapter 12. This is page 47, by the way, and the last page is page 62, so we're almost to the end. This is about a 5 or 6 page chapter. Chapter 12. Pinky came home. I had her blue ribbon pinned up on the wall over my bed, and I took it out to show it to her. She sniffed at it, and that's about all. You can be a right proud pig, Pinky, I said, scratching her back. You're the best behaved pig in the whole state of Vermont. She just snorted at that, and I was glad to see she wasn't getting too filled with herself. A swell-headed pig would be hard to live with. I ran into the house, put the blue ribbon back on its pins and over my head. When I got back outside, Papa was home from butchering. His clothes were a real mess. Papa, I said, after a whole day of rendering pork, don't you start to hate your clothes? Like I could burn 'em and bury 'em. But you wear a leather apron when you kill pork. How come you still get so dirty? Dying is dirty business, same as getting born. I never thought of it that way. But I'm glad nobody will kill Pinky. She's going to be a brood sow, isn't she? He didn't answer. Stop. What's a brood sow?
Like a pig that just has a bunch of babies.
Pig, that's right. A pig just that breeds. That's right. He didn't answer. What's that smell like? Foreshadowing. He just walked over to the fence and looked at my pig. Swinging his leg over the rails, he knelt down beside her and run his hand along her back. He looked at her rump real close, smelled her, felt her backside with his hand. What's wrong, Papa? Is Pinky ailing? No, not ailing. Just slow. She should have had her first heat by now, weeks ago. We could have bred her to bore at the third. Maybe she's barren. Barren? You mean, I don't know for sure, boy. Just maybe she's barren. Like Aunt Maddie? You shouldn't laugh at that. It's horrible. Yes, but that's not to talk of. You'd hurt Maddie if you said barren to her face. The hurt's inside her. No need to fester it. And you think Pinky's barren? Tell me true, Papa. Yes, boy. I think she be. No, I said. No! No! My fists were doubled and I hit the top rail of the fence harder and harder until my hands started to hurt. Rob, that won't change nothing. You gotta face what is. He climbed over the fence and walked to the barn, his tall, lean body moving as if it knew more work would be done that day, tired or no. Let's stop there quickly and discuss the meaning of the word barren. Unable to procreate. Really not funny. The person who laughs is actually a nice person. He really is. All right. Rob! Mom called to me from the kitchen door, and I left Pinky and ran up the hill to where she was standing, drying her hands on her apron. Go get a squirrel, she said, smiling. Inside the house, I took the .22 rifle off the lintel over the fireplace, dropped some cartridges in my pocket, and went back outside. I should have been happy going squirrel hunting, but I just wasn't. There was a stand of hickory trees up on the west end of the ridge, on the yonder side of the spar mine. Now that it was autumn, the walnuts would be ripe and eaten. As I climbed up the ridge, I started searching the trees for a gray, a big fat one with a full punch. High in a nearby pin oak, there was a round brown ball of dead leaves and twigs. There was no movement near it, but I stood soldier still and waited. My eyes rolled up into the tops of the other trees, but saw nothing. There just wasn't a gray squirrel to be had. I walked up into the trees, sat on a stump. Looking down across the valley, it was yellow with goldenrod, like somebody broke eggs all over the hillside. Then I heard him. He was just over my head, sitting flat on a branch, twitching his long gray brush of a tail, making that scolding squirrel chip, 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 sort of a sound. Sassy as salt. A round was already in the chamber. Raising the gun, I put the black bead of the first sight deep in the V-notch of the rear sight. The bead was just behind his ear when I squeezed the trigger. It was like he was yanked off the limb by a rope. He fell kicking into a mess of leaves and brush. When I got to him, he was still twisting. Holding his back legs, swung his body, against the tree of a sweet gum tree. His spine cracked. He was dead. Back on the kitchen stoop, I took a knife, cut open his belly. I was right careful not to cut the squirrel's paunch. Removing the warm, wet sack, I brought it into the kitchen and washed it under the sink pump. Mama had a clean white linen hanky ready. I lanced the paunch and we emptied all the chewed up nut meats on it, spreading them out so they'd dry. Mama put the hanky up in the warming oven above the stove. So he killed a gray squirrel. He cut its stomach open. He got out the nut meats from what the squirrel had been eating, the acorns and walnuts or whatever they've been eating.
Where they draining it off though?
You know what he's going to do with them?
Eat it?
Let's keep going. Get this. I couldn't see the chocolate cake, but it had to be around somewheres. If there was no cake, Mama wouldn't have wanted a gray. They're going to put the chewed up nut meats on the cake.
Ew.
Outside, I cut up the rest of the squirrel, threw it to the chickens. They fought over the big hunks and the larger hens bulled the weaker ones away. Scrawny ones got nothing. I was thinking about that when Papa come up behind me. We watched the matron hens eat while the runts just watched. It ain't fair, is it, Papa? Rob, it ain't a fair world. How are the apples doing? You think it's time we picked? 2 more days, Papa said. They ain't good this year. Can't let any drop. The spanner worms were so heavy last June, ate up lots of the buds. We smoked, Papa. That we did. Maybe the mix was wrong. Tell me again, boy, what you did. Just like you said, Pa. It was last May when I scraped all the black ash off the inside of the fireplace in the cook stove. I mixed in the quicklime and split it up so as I could put a pile of it under every apple tree in the orchard. How many? 18. We lost 1 to winter. You add the water to the mix like I told you? Yes, sir, Papa. I threw about a cup on each pile, and the mix hissed up real good. Really smoked up proper. Was it windy? Come to think of it, it was. Some of the vapors got blowed away. Boy, you got to put ash and lime always windward to the tree. Test the breeze for each tree. Currents are strange in an orchard. I did it wrong. That's why the spanners were so numbered. You'll do right next spring, Rob. Just take time with things. 1 chore done good beats 2 done ragged. Yes, sir. Stop there. Spanners are worms. So they have an apple orchard, 18 trees in it, and apples are a main part of their diet for nutrients. These aren't the most wealthy people in the world. So they got to eat what they can grow and eat what they can hunt and stuff like that. So the way they keep the worms and bugs and whatnot from getting on the apples, and we've all seen the image of the worm hole in the apple, is they make some kind of concoction with smoke, and the smoke goes up into the trees and kills everything. Okay? Well, when Rob did it, the wind was blowing, and he didn't set the fire thing with the smoke concoction where it would blow up into the tree, so it blew away. So for that reason, they're not having many apples this year. So let's use our head here. Pinky's getting big. Apparently Pinky is barren. They're not doing well with the apples. The man's a pig slaughterer.
They're poor.
They're poor. What are they going to do to Pinky?
Kill her.
Sell her.
Yeah, they could sell her.
Rob's going to wake up one morning and his mom's going to say, I got some fresh bacon. Oh, cool. He's going to be eating. He says, I ain't seen Pinky this morning. Y'all seen Pinky?
You're eating her.
Let's keep going. They could have eaten that little dog, Hussy.
No. Not the
All right.
dog.
Let's keep going. Almost done. You can always look to a farm as tended and know the farmer. You ever see Brother Tanner's place? Sure, lots of times. I don't mean just see it, I mean study it. His fence is straight and white as virtue. All the critters are clean. Mark how he cuts his hay. Ain't no truer winter in all of learning. He's a good farmer, I said. He'll walk to his barn at 6 and 6. You could set a clock at the first chime of milk that hits the pail. He a better farmer than you, Papa? Yep, he best me at it. He wouldn't say it to my face, but he knows and I know there's not a use in wording it. I don't want to grow up to be like Mr. Tanner. I want to be like you, Papa. I wouldn't wish that on a dead cat. I do, Papa, and I will. I'll be just like you. No, boy, you won't. You got your schooling. You'll read and write and cipher. And when you spray that orchard, you'll use the new things. Chemicals? True. And you'll have more than farming to do. You won't have to leave your land to kill another man's hogs, then ask for the grind meat with your hat in your hand. But you're a good butcher, Papa. Even Mr. Tanner said you're the best in the county. You say that? Honest, Papa. He said he could look at a half port and tell it was you that boiled and scraped it. He said you even had your own trademark. When you kill pork and twain it head to rump, you always do what no other man does. You even divide the tail, half it right to the end. He said this on the way to Rutland. I'm sure glad to be famed for something. Supper's on! Mama called out from the kitchen. You two men folk intend to stand all evening and preach to the hens? With only one rooster! Papa yelled up to her. They don't need much preaching. Mama laughed and went inside. We followed after washing up proper at the pump. Papa put his hand on my shoulder as we walked up to the house. Try and try, he said. When it comes day's end, I can't wash the pig off me. Your mother never complains, not once in all these years has she ever said that I smell strong. I said once to her that I was sorry. What did Mama say? She said I smelled of honest work. There was no sorry to be said or heard. We had a good supper with hot biscuit and honey, and after we had chocolate cake. The nut meats we took out of that squirrel were dry. Aunt Carrie took them out of the warming oven, sprinkled them on top of the salt, on top of the cake, like little white stars in a big brown heaven. And I got cut a slice of that cake even Solomon couldn't have moved. Later, after chores and dishes were done, Mom and Aunt Carrie were talking in the kitchen. Pop and I sat in the parlor near the fireplace. We had a fire going earlier, but now it was dying down, ready for bed, like people. Cold water was coming for sure. It felt good to have a fire in the hearth. Sure a grand thing to look at while you talk. Papa once told me that wood heats you 3 times. When you cut it, when you haul it, when you burn it. Winter's coming, Papa. True enough. I think I may need a new winter coat. Better speak to your mom to start stitching. I want a store coat. I need one. So do I, but one thing to learn, Rob, is this. Need is a weak word. Has nothing to do with what people get. Ain't what you need that matters, is what you do. And your mother will do you a coat. Just once, I said, just one time I'd hanker for a store-bought coat. Red and black, buffalo plaid, checkerboard coat just like Jacob Henry's. Just once I'd like to walk in the general store with money in my pocket, touch all them coats, every one. Touch them and smell all the new that's in them, like new boots. That would be fine, real fine, Papa said. Jacob Henry said that in one store in London, they let you wear all the coats you want before you buy one. And you can put on any coat you want, walk around the store in it, even if you don't buy it. But you know what I do? I buy a red and black one, just like Jacob Henry's. It would be my coat forever, and I'd never wear it out. Reckon you'd outgrow it before you outwear it. Probably would, but I sure do want a coat like that. Why do we have to be plain people, Papa? Why do we? 'Cause we are. Guess I'll never get a coat like that, can I? Yes, you can when you earn one. You'll be a man one day. One day soon. Someday, I said. Can't be someday, Rob. It's got to be now. This winter. Your sisters are gone, all 4. Wedded and bedded. Your 2 brothers are dead. Born dead. Grounded on orchard. So it's got to be you, Rob. Why are you saying this, Papa? Because, son. Because this is my last winter. I got an affection. I know I do. What's his dad saying?
You're gonna die.
His dad's saying he's going to die. He says, I got an affection. And he says A-F-F-E-C-T-I-O-N. He doesn't mean that. It obviously means infection, right? I don't know if it smells like bacon or foreshadowing. All I know is there's no way Rob's dad's going to pass away without leaving his family something to eat in the middle of the winter.
You're gonna end up killing.
Here we go. You see Doc Nap? No need. All things in, and so it goes. Oh, Papa, don't say that. Listen, Rob. Listen, boy, I tell you the truth. You got to face up to it. You can't be a boy about it. Papa, you were not to say this to your mother or to Aunt Carrie, but from now on, you got to listen how I run this farm. We got 5 years to go on it. Land is ours. Lock and stock. 5 years payoff. And you'll be through school by then. I'll quit school and work the farm. No, you won't. You stay. Get schooled. Get all the teaching you can hold. I got up from the chair I was in so I could be near him. I touched the sleeve of his shirt and felt his whole body stiffen. He looked away as he spoke. It's got to be you, Rob. Your mother and Carrie can't do it alone. Come spring, you ain't the boy of the place, you're the man. A man at 13, but no less a man. And whatever has to be done on this land has got to be did by you, Rob. Because there'll be nobody else, boy. Just you. Papa, no. Can't be no longer your mother and Carrie taking care of you. Soon you got to care for them. They're old too. Years of work's done that. Your ma's not young anymore. Carrie's near 70. 70? Yes, boy. So to short the story, I could be wrong, but I feel like it's over for me soon. Animals know when, and I reckon I'm more beast than man. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't say anything. Just hoped he'd reach out and touch me or kiss me or something, but he just got up from his chair, wrapped a hot rock from the fireplace in a sack for his bed, went upstairs. Mom and Aunt Carrie had left the kitchen and gone up too. The parlor was still and dark. I sat watching the red cinders turn gray. I stayed there until the fire died, so we would not have to die alone.